Okay. So, first things first, very important. For those who don't know, the day this video is coming out happens to be my birthday! That is probably way more notable than what this video is actually about. Namely, since I severely underestimated how quickly previews for Aether Drift were actually going to start, and I don't really feel like making an entire video on 3 cards that people have known about for like a month, I decided to make a video concerning the thing that they actually did do preview stuff for, and that's probably going to release and then be shoved away so that Aether Drift spoilers can start pretty much instantly next week. And that would be Innistrad Remastered. To be honest, this set kind of got pushed into a coverage death slot for a reason. I think it's not really because the set is bad or anything like that, but more so because what there really is to talk about for the set is like minimal. So minimal, in fact, that any effort to have multiple weeks of coverage on the subject by any YouTube channel would probably have to be done with YouTube Shorts, even at the pace I'm going with this. It's really just a list of reprints of or relating to the Plane of Innistrad. And I would say there's a little bit of bigger news about this particular one that's kind of a change in how these remastered sets actually work, but in reality that change already happened with last year's Ravnica Remastered. You know what, let's start with a couple of basics about this whole thing and just talk about what this is. So what the fuck is an Innistrad? It's a gothic horror turned eldritch horror turned marriage horror plane, and the chief home of Terrace Moon's favorite creature type in all of Magic the Gathering. This set is basically, you take a bunch of stuff from all the Innistrad things, and you put them in a soup. There's werewolves, there's zombies, Jeff Goldblum, no, not the one from Jurassic Park, the other one. Okay, not Independence Day either, I meant Bugman. Y'all know Bugman. This is one of the most powerful comments ever printed in Magic, and it's about 15 years old. No wonder I'm doing this on my birthday. It's also a reminder of the agonizingly slow and inevitable crawl to my demise and or the heat death of the universe, which hopefully the latter happens after the former, but that's beside the point. The point is, look at this guy! Y'all like spaghetti gods, right? He's in the moon now. Yeah, this whole set is really just, all stuff that already exists, no new lore for it or anything, and I'm not sure if you noticed from my floundering or not, that makes getting 3 pages of material from this without making as many GitRog memes as humanly possible pretty difficult. And can you really blame me with this showcase frame? He's such a little big guy! But that's really why this gets that kind of death slot I was talking about, right? It's cool junk, but there's a quick shot of adrenaline and nostalgia before we get back to the races. In this year's case, literally. Now, to be fair, there's still a thing or two to talk about, especially when doing a filler video for shits and giggles, because these sets now allow reprints from sets that weren't part of the original blocks or settings in question with reskins that let them fit in if needed. We've got one from a core set, after all, so I guess I'm just gonna spend a hot minute talk about some of those this week. My birthday videos have historically been explorations into nostalgia anyway, something I'm sure no channel has ever done before, and especially not one that I'm frequently confused for. Anyway, let's talk about a card that is probably new to not only the non-Magic players in my audience, but also probably new to the Magic Zoomer generation. This is one of Legacy's oldest ban list bench sitters that half the player base was convinced was on the reserve list. That needs its own video, trust me. But instead was on the list, which is also a subject for a different video. Anyway, Hermit Druid in a modern frame! Technically existed before, but never in paper Magic, and sadly no longer with a watercolor rendition of that one guy from your local LARP group in it. Seriously, if I wasn't talking about this here, I'd probably be putting this card in a video about weird Magic art. Anyway, it's 2 mana for a 1/1 that you can pay a green and tap it to mill yourself until you hit a basic land, which basically got banned in Legacy because you can mill the entirety of your deck, and I think CDEH and Yu-Gi-Oh! Players kind of have an idea where that's going. This is also probably one of the best examples of one of the showcase frames, the movie poster frames, with this being the example that shows how to make cards with longer effects work well in that style. The eyes going to various points where the parts of the effect are, while still making the text organized enough where reading the card still explains the card well. And this is something that was in an Innistrad set, but I do want to real quick highlight the kind of card that needs less work than this to make it work, by the way. That being the ones that really only have a few work keywords, maybe a short effect. So I kind of wanted to show off what I consider the epitome of that in the form of Griselbrand. I'm not even going to read the overview of what the card does. I just want to marvel at how fucking amazing this thing looks. And kind of bitch a bit, because this guy's banned in Commander, and I want to play this art in Commander so fucking bad. Still, he's like incredibly broken in Commander anyway, so understandable. So next card I actually wanted to talk about was also black, actually. Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. Sorry, Jen. A 3-mana Planeswalker that starts at 4 loyalty. For those who don't know, Planeswalkers spend and gain loyalty to use their abilities, normally once per turn at sorcery speed, unless you're Teferi. Sorin's had several versions with several different strategies printed on the card, but this one in particular was also banned in Pioneer and Explorer. Sure, that format exists too, and I'll go over all the abilities, but it's really the third ability here that got Bitey Geralt axed from the format. His first +1 gives Death Touch and Lifelink to a creature, and a +1/+1 counter if it's a vampire. So, run vampires, got it. What's the second one do? Well, it's also a +1 loyalty, and you can sacrifice a vampire, and if you can, drain something for 3. Okay, got it. More vampires. Cool. What about the ult? Well, it's not much of an ult. It's a -3, so you can use it as soon as he comes down, and it lets you put a vampire from your hand into play. Ah, I see. No wonder this thing got banned in Pioneer. I'm not sure how many of you watched Boon Cannon 61. I somehow doubt that most of the audience coming into these videos is the same as the audience for that series. But one of the versions of that video that predated the one that actually came out had me covering Magic Historian's coverage of the ban list announcement that saw Sorin get banned. And one particular point I remember I was going to cover was him saying that Sorin being banned was because another vampire card, Vein Ripper, was the actual broken card, which, no, man, you normally ban the engine before you ban the result of the engine. Vein Ripper is 6 mana. It's supposed to be a powerful, potentially game-ending card. It makes perfect sense to ban the thing that lets you drop it down on 3 and still be able to add extra value to it on top of that. Sure, Sorin's at 1 at that point, but he's got protection. The Vein Ripper's right there. Like, the two cards together, a problem. But claiming the thing you play late game is somehow more broken than the thing letting you make that late game play way too early is astronomically stupid. But you can still use this Sorin in Commander, though, and there you've got even more stuff you have than Pioneer. Hey, you know what goes great with a Butcher of Malakir? A sack engine and a way to cheat it out during setup turns. I'm just saying. So, I do have one more card to talk about in this video, and it's kind of one of the last ones I was expecting to be talking about when talking about this set. I wasn't really expecting to have much to say about this set, but it turns out that I'm already at like close to 10 minutes. I was actually watching the stream where they talked about a lot of the stuff in the set, mostly hoping they might have something about Aether Drift, maybe even some artwork or something, maybe some other thing for me to, like, dig into a little bit. Well, there was something announced, but it wasn't in that stream. And as soon as this card showed up on stream, only one sound could possibly come out of my mouth. Breathe! That's right, you fucking Neanderthal! Step aside! We going through the breach on this one! A 5-mana arcane instant that lets you pop down a fatty and then sack it at the end of the turn. But you can splice onto arcane for 4. What that means is that you get to reveal this card in your hand and pay that cost when you're casting another arcane spell to add the effect of the spell onto another spell. And now you all know the reason I fell in love with this game during the original Kamigawa block. Something about making a deck that was an entire build-a-spell workshop clicked for me. They've actually printed a couple of cards that could splice onto any instant or sorcery in some Modern Horizons set, and I'll always love seeing one of the mechanics that got me into the game printed, reprint or otherwise. This actually gets used in a lot of formats to cheat out Emrakul, the moon guy I was talking about before, and these Emrakul themed artworks are so good. Even if You know, that's not what I do a lot of the time with it. I don't care. This is badass as fuck. Sadly, there is no arcane draft subtheme in the deck. Sad, you could probably reflavor the whole means of summoning the Unspeakable into an Eldrazi thing. You know, because it's literally called the Unspeakable. Anyway, something else I want to show off about this card in particular is the retro frame. I mean, don't get me wrong, the movie poster version is pretty damn excellent too, but this artwork almost feels made to be put in the classic pre-modern MTG frame. Just something about the more saturated border pops with the sea of abyssal purple in the main artwork so well. It also feels like art that would be on a Magic card back then, which actually seems to happen a pretty decent amount with Randy Vargas's artwork. So, yeah, that was me spending about 10 minutes talking about reprints. Like I said, a bit of a filler video, but I kind of had writer's block this week on these videos. Yes, that one commenter, these are in fact scripted. In fact, every word that I'm saying is on the script that I wrote for this video. Or is it? Maybe I just put in the script to go on an unscripted rant specifically to make it where no one's really sure how much of my videos are scripted or not. I guess you'll never know. You'll never know. So until next time, this is your friendly neighborhood Boonslayer, signing out.